What is up, people? Megasonic here with another Camerahead Studios Real Talk session. Now, me and Celine here are going to talk about the new Wolverine movie, Logan, that just debuts trailer today as this video is being recorded. Also, remember to like and subscribe, guys. In terms of just like in anything, if you want to follow more content, follow us on Twitter, Facebook. We answer any questions you'd like to ask to us anyway. But the link down in the description below if you want to check those out. Anyway, let's get right down with this discussion. So pretty much the whole movie. This is the whole movie synopsis so far.
Set in the future, Logan and Professor Charles Xavier must cope with the loss of the X-Men when a corporation led by Nathaniel Sexes. I don't know how to say his name.
I was having trouble saying that too, and it was just like I was just like X's. That's a sexist. There's no S in front of it, but X's, I guess. X.
Nathaniel X's is bent on destroying the world, with Logan's healing ability slowly fading away and Xavier's Alzheimer's forcing him to forget Logan. He must defeat Nathaniel with the help of a young girl named Laura Kingley?
Kingley. Laura Kingley, a female clone of Wolverine. So pretty much it's just the slight origin story of, like, if you guys seen the, like, spoiler if you have not watched X-Men Apocalypse, I don't give a fuck. Don't look at me like that. It's like been a year. Like, not it hasn't been a year actually. It's been like a couple months, like 6 months. I don't care. X-Men Apocalypse was meh. Anyway, in terms of just like if you see the post credit scene after the whole thing, this like special kind of like business guy came in there and took like the sample of blood of Wolverine. So most likely over like the last 40 years, as this thing takes place after Apocalypse, they were cloning the mess out of Wolverine, probably making, and they probably made this girl as like the perfect clone. And also one thing that I don't want to spoil some people, but if you haven't looked this up, if not, pause it for like a good 15 seconds because, well, mute it for a good 15 seconds because I'm going to talk about the main villain of the movie, who is Mr. Sinister, who is the leader of the corporation that is most likely, who is into like crossbreeding mutants and like some, like he's the reason why Mr. Sinister even exists. Not Mr. Sinister. I said Mr. Sinister. Wow, Mr. Sinister is the reason why Mr. Sinister exists. Funny. No, Mr. Sinister is the reason why even Cable exists. So, will we see Cable in like a post-credit scene? I think so, but Cable is like a good amount of years in the future. For those who don't know, Cable is the son of, well, a clone of Jean Grey and Scott's. But and for the sake of this movie, it's most likely going to be just the son of Jean Grey and Scott Summers. But in terms of just the plot, anyway, I've talked enough. Let's talk about this trailer so far. So, one thing I have to say about this trailer I like so much is the tone it's going for. It's a post-apocalyptic world. Not really post-apocalyptic. We haven't seen the rest of the world, but some set photos I've seen, it looks like there's still city life and everything there. But in terms of just like Logan as a character, he most likely went into the near like the deserts of Nevada because they're most likely probably hiding from Sinister himself. Or I just think like if in terms of just like this is like another apocalyptic future that they couldn't escape.
I think the reason Xavier, one of the most powerful mutant minds, has Alzheimer's. Really?
Well, Wolverine can like take bullets galore, and now he can't take it no more. So I think your powers reach its course at times. You're just like spoiled milk. It tastes good when the first week you drink milk, and the next thing you know, and after a couple of weeks, you're like, why is it green? Newsflash, you heard it here first. Mutant powers are just like milk. They spoil after a while. Continue what you're gonna say?
You're a clown. Anyway, I think the reason that Xavier's all the way by himself, because if you notice, there are a lot of scenes within the trailer where everything's like shaking and nobody can really move. I think he starts to have episodes the way Jean used to have.
Or like he can't control his powers because he's getting old.
Yeah.
He has to be old as doo doo, like doo doo dirt. like no. If we go in with this fucked up timeline, and we're going since he was 20 in freaking X-Men First Class, like 20 something, and then he was like late like early 30s in X-Men, like Days of Future Past, like the 60s, and then you got like the freaking the 70s and Days of Future Past. He's like 30, and then he's like at least late 30s, early 40s type in the 80s with the X-Men Apocalypse. And then if you do all the X-Men movies, 50, 90, 60, you get etc. So 40 years down the line, he's around like 80 years old. He's like Master Roshi type age. Because Master Roshi is like 360 and does not die for some weird reason. But in terms of just like the plot so far seems really self-contained. It's like Deadpool the movie, which I think I like that because that's what so many fans like Deadpool. It wasn't trying to be like I think that's what some people didn't like Apocalypse too much, or some people had some gripes about Days of Future Past. Like I feel like in terms of just like setting up a universe, that's what they try to do, and Deadpool never tried that. Deadpool was very self-contained. You have any idea on that?
Well, looking at it, they already tell you at the beginning of the trailer the world's not like it was. Mutants are gone. So you could tell, like, there's a whole bunch of stuff that happened and that went down. And even though, yes, it's a culminating factor as to why the world is the way it is right now, it's not the leading cause of why stuff is being done.
I think in terms of just like I like it so far in terms of just, and also this is like the last time we're gonna see Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, so people get the tissues, wipe your tears, because this is the last time you're probably gonna see Wolverine for a while. And I don't know, in terms of just like this film, I can see this film being a fan favorite of mine because of the tone, as well as it's not trying to be Wolverine, the X Men, continuation, control, onslaught attacks Xavier and Magneto, and they have to join together for the eighth time. And like it gets like the films were getting repetitive, and that's when they were losing out to Marvel Studios, especially with Apocalypse. Apocalypse just like died after the first 2 weeks at the box office. So in terms of just like uh the movie's sake, I think this movie will kind of bring fans back to see Hugh Jackman leave, who's like a fan favorite and everyone enjoys his character. Uh, the one thing I'm getting a vibe from, and a friend of mine's on Facebook announced, like he pretty much came up and said it too. If you ever played Last of Us on PlayStation 3, you know how this game, how this movie's going to feel. It's going to, if you ever not played Last of Us, you got a PlayStation 4 or old PlayStation 3. It's like $20. Pick it up, and it's like worth the time. It's practically like a whole movie by itself, and I think that's the kind of tone I like. I like the fact that it's not all superheroes all the time. It's just like so dread and sad, and the music itself is sad to kind of fit like the tone of Logan's character, because this is the first time he's probably seen his hair go any color besides brown.
Um, I see that they're going with a couple of differences from the
Original source material.
from the comic books, because I know that what's her name, Laura.
Yeah.
Originally, she doesn't even have a name. She just has a code number.
Yeah,
And she's
X-23.
Yeah, she's supposed to be like at least 16 years old, like a super badass assassin who has no remorse, no empathy, doesn't give a shit if she blows your head off. Like,
She wouldn't need to. She has claws. And her foot, too. Are they going to put the feet claws in here?
well, I don't know, because they haven't shown her claws in the trailer.
They did kind of show her jumping around, but it's kind of hard to see her claws. But let's assume that she's cutting them with her claws. I don't know if she got, like, toe claws, too. Like,
Yeah.
just come out between her big toe and her second toe.
That's weird. I don't even want to think about that.
That's how the foot claws work. It comes out her like between her big toe and her other toe. So it kind of grow. It's just weird. Like I know buying shoes have to be a bitch.
Never buy a new pair of shoes.
Yeah.
Always wear flats.
Always wear flip flops. The new Wolverine got flip flops on.
And second off, she has an iPhone. How old is she?
Well, this is the gotta think about this. It's 2027, Celine. It's 2027. That's probably an iPhone 6, and you know, in 2027, that shit's gonna be obsolete. It's actually gonna be a dinosaur. Like, when's the last time you see someone walk around an iPhone 2?
She has an iPhone 38 with only one camera. No buttons.
Everything's controlled by your mind. But okay, all a serious note, the characters and everything, we're not gonna see a couple mutants in here, like probably some who are working for like Sinister, in terms of just like because we see a lot of like gunmen and everything.
I don't think they're gonna be natural mutants though.
It might be like because Sinister is known for like genetic
Genetic.
alteration of people and their abilities. Like he made Cable practically, and in terms of just like making Cable,
And if this follows like any other source material, everything such as like M Day and all that probably like has already passed, and
well,
it's like you could tell it's a very dark world, so there's probably a lot of people who are lost between the last movie and now.
yeah, it's kind of like it's like we don't know what the fuck happened. But also, I don't think they can even put M Day in this timeline because Scarlet Witch is already in the films with Avengers. Putting M Day in there would be like would be like lawsuit central. But anyway,
No, I mean like just the
like something
theory and the idea of like
Like-
something major happened.
like when it erased the human, because that's the one thing they did that happened in the comic books. There, and for those who don't know, Scarlet Witch like went berserk after realizing her children were her children. Went berserk, realized that she actually had children, and she called something called M Day, where she reversed the world where mutants were like the majority and had the up in like the humans who lack power or considered second class citizens. Pretty much reversed X-Men, and in terms of that, the one person that was able to survive was Wolverine. And actually, at the end of that, they kind of reversed the world back, but she ended up like cutting like a large majority of like pretty much almost 90%, at most almost more than 90% of the mutant population in the world, in the Earth 616 universe, to like off, like turn their powers off, take their powers away. And just thinking about that, something could happen like that.
I mean, it doesn't even have to be Scarlet Witch who did it, because remember like all the times that they try to get Xavier to kill all the mutants with Cerebro, like there's like 1,000 different ways that this could have happened. But at the end of the day, you can tell that any mutant that is still alive is probably being hunted down.
He is like Wolverine. He's on the outskirts, and Xavier's in like this big dome, which probably was used to be Cerebro, or probably like sort of like a place for him to stay because he has Alzheimer's and he can't move. He's at a point where he's just like most likely Xavier is going to die in this film because
I hope not. I don't want to see that.
well, Patrick Stewart, this is his final film too. This is both their final films. This is why they're both in the film.
So kill him off screen. I don't have to see.
Stop being a baby.
No.
You just don't want to see Professor X kick the ducks. We still got the young one. We can kind of pull how the comic books did, and just like if like Fox and like Disney, Marvel kind of like shake hands and finally kiss and hug, and we might just grab the young X-Men and just pull them into the new Marvel universe, because they did that in the comic books. They took the young X-Men and brought them into the current timeline, and they're still there up to this day. Right now, they're still there. They're like branched off in other teams, but they're still there. In terms of Old Man Logan, this is definitely not going to take any source material really from the actual plot.
I hope they don't do that thing where they continue to show him having like hallucinations of Jean that have nothing to do with the story.
I was kind of like, it made sense in the Wolverine because it takes place not too long after the original Wolverine, like not original, the original like timeline X-Men 20 X3, that godforsaken movie Last Stand that no one enjoyed, but it made sense. But don't put that in like this as like he's walking, he's in the middle of a fight and he just sees Jean down the hallway like Logan, and there's like Jean's been like, it would make no sense because Jean's been dead for so like a long time now. He
Bring in one of his other lovers. Like he's had so many relationships.
no more lovers. Wolverine has to stay a virgin. Let me stop. A 200-something-year-old virgin.
Yeah, that's the case.
In terms of Laura, I think they're gonna like make her. But one thing that they did in the comic book also is that they made Laura into the current Wolverine for the X-Men, and kind of like just let Wolverine kind of just like die off into like suffocating adamantium. So I do think that they're gonna like kill this Wolverine, kill Hugh Jackman's Wolverine off, and I don't know if the character's still gonna be on the table for Marvel to kind of grab the character and probably like weave him in. I don't think they can ever do that because if they have to weave in,
Or they could just move on and pass the mantle on to Laura like they do in the comic books right now.
but if Laura's gonna be the Wolverine of no X Men,
Well, she doesn't necessarily have.
let's do what they always do: time travel. Bring it into the '90s, new X Men, Laura. Have her beat Wolverine
Just
again.
like throw her back in time and be like, yeah, I'm the new Wolverine. And Logan's just looking at her like,
Ooh, what? This is the '90s. Back off. You see my hair? Yeah, standing off. Got leather jumpsuit on, bitch.
bright yellow too.
Nah, you gotta go back to like X1, the first X and X2 when they didn't have the bright yellow. They had like the '90s comic book one where it's just leather black like jumpsuits with like the streamline color.
Oh yeah.
Those that everyone kind of just like about.
Anyway, but back to the trailer.
So what's the other things we saw? We saw like kind of like a dude in like bandanas like wrapped around his face and his body. So we're unknown whether or not like we're gonna like cover who he is. He's most likely one of the mutants because as you can see, this is the one thing Celine likes. They don't tell you the whole movie.
I'm sorry, but Hollywood needs to stop. I don't go to the movies anymore because I saw the whole movie in the trailer. Like, there's no point. If I could tell you the whole movie from looking at the trailer, then no.
That's
No.
why. That's probably why we're not talking about the plot enough. Is because there's not much to talk about. It just seems like a simple mission. Take her away from these guys with guns who are most likely working for the corporation. I keep forgetting the corporation name that Sinister works, that Sinister owns. And they're most likely experimenting on mutants and stuff. So, in terms of just like a film, I would say I'm excited for this film. Just hopefully they don't fuck it up because this is Hugh Jackman's final film. But in terms of just like plot and character, it'll be great if they just like after this, I don't know, something happens and they put Laura into like the current timeline or the cinematic universe. But anyway, Mr. Sinister as a villain, I think he can hold up because in Sinister you have to connect it to Cable, and Cable is gonna be in Deadpool 2, and I don't know. Deadpool takes place whenever it takes place when it comes out. Like Deadpool 1 takes place in what? 2015, 16?
Just about.
Just about around that time. Around that.
It's like it's modern based. It's not like
It's like
they
2000.
threw it 20 years ago or something
Yeah,
like
like
that.
it's
Before we were all
2010s.
born.
It's 2010s. It's anywhere from that time point. So yeah, that's all we can really talk about. We kind of just rambled about the whole universe, like what this can mean for this movie. I got one question I gotta ask people and you too, Celine. Do you think, as in terms of this, like the X-Men universe, cinematic universe, do you think it's going to push any further past this? Like, what else could they do?
Give the rights to Marvel.
Yeah, I think like really they can't do much because the comic books are kind of like trying to get rid of the mutants, so they can't really do much movies.
Well, personally, as far as I've seen, and this is my own personal opinion, after most of the original X-Men no longer became a part of the story, the power of the story of the X-Men died along with the rest of them. So, because I can't catch myself reading too much of new like reimagined X-Men where it's some kid who turns into a slug and like I'm making this up, but anyway, like it doesn't hold the same footing and the same ground as having like Xavier deal with Jean and Cyclops and Jubilee and
I think
can they say her name too, please?
they brought her in the film for like 5 minutes and they threw her away like like a yellow tissue wrap.
But yeah, no, I think this again, my personal opinion. The best thing they could do is give the rights to Marvel so that they can incorporate it properly into their cinematic universe.
Yeah, because
Marvel's doing a great job. Like, tell me one Marvel movie that you're not looking forward to see right now.
I want to see Guardians 2.
No, I said like when you're not looking forward to see, like you don't want to see it. Like screw that. Why am I wasting my money to go watch it?
Like I'm definitely seeing Doctor Strange because Doctor Strange, he's the shit.
Exactly. You can't name one.
It's just like Marvel are able to like. I think it all has to do with just Kevin Feige, because Kevin Feige, it was like one of the reasons why superhero movies that we watch, like the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies and everything else, like if you look up like Kevin Feige's, his fingers were in most of the early 2000 films. Like he did put his own 2 cents into the X-Men films for the first two, and that's why the first two are regarded. That's why the second one's regarded as like hands down the best X-Men movie. But in terms of just like Marvel movies, he just knows what he's doing. And now Marvel is like Disney bought Marvel, so Disney's kind of like taking him away from that asshole CEO that no one likes. Uh, I think it's best to like give Marvel, and I think no more movies, TV series. Think about it.
Only if it's on Netflix.
Yeah,
Or Hulu.
it's gonna be on Netflix. So Netflix has like a good deal with them.
I I'd watch it if it was if the story was done in a way that I wouldn't expect to see something coming. If
yeah.
I know what's gonna happen next, then you lost me by the third episode. I'm
Please
sorry.
don't make Wolverine the main character. Like start us off with just the basic team and work us way around because they can take the young characters and just like do the comic book did. That's what I'm suggesting.
Or
But
do their breakaway stories. Like we're always focusing on how he found Jean, how he found Storm, how he found like move on. Like we've seen that
yeah,
20, 30 times.
and every time they do that, like I know one thing they're doing, and I don't know if this either is in the universe or is it a self-contained universe. You ever heard of the show Legion?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a thing. Yeah, Legion is like the story of Professor X is kind of like crazy manic son. So I do think that they're. I don't know if that's like really connected to like the movie's cinematic universe. I'm not sure, but it's up in the air. And in terms of just anything else, yeah, that's all I gotta say about like the film is by itself. Like the reason we didn't talk so much about the plot because there's not really much to talk about besides we already know we kind of already have an idea who's following them, why he's doing that, and what can it mean for the overall universe, and what can be possible for the X Men. Because X Men's like kind of not having a bright future right now, even in the comic books. So that's about it, guys. I see you guys later.
Let us know what you think in your comment section below. Hit that like button and subscribe. Later, guys.